Good evening, all of you black hearts, misfits, outcasts, and other creatures of the night. I am coming to you this evening from the cold confines of my closet. This is the space that I have available that I spoke about briefly on my last video. I've made a bit of space for myself to record, and this is where I'm going to be coming to you from for the time being, living situations being what they are. There's a certain irony in that, considering it's been less than a month since I came out of the closet, but that's life sometimes, I suppose. But that is, if you read the title of this video, not the reason that we are here. We are here to discuss Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. This is the latest entry in the DC Films universe, whatever that means these days. And much anticipated, much talked about, much controversy surrounding, at least within the comic book community, particularly the more hardcore fans of the Birds of Prey, of Batman, etc. And so, to kick things off immediately, I enjoyed the movie. I think it's one of the better entries in this connected universe project that DC has been building now for the last several years. But the concern that I had, and full disclosure, I've never particularly enjoyed Harley Quinn as a character. She's always, I've thought, been a little vapid and kind of one note. They have in recent years done some things to kind of make her a little bit more interesting. But my introduction to her was through the Batman the Animated Series. I watched that as a kid as they were initially airing on TV. And then in those early days in the comics, she was much the same, at least to start. And yeah, I never particularly liked her. I'm not a big fan of the Joker as a villain either. I think, there's a couple of good Joker stories, but I think he gets way too overblown as a quality villain. And a lot of that rubs off on her. And I'll be honest, I love Margot Robbie. I'd love to see her do more serious acting, based on her physicality, some of the things she does in this movie. I didn't see Suicide Squad, so I don't know how she is in that exactly. But some of the action, the choreography, and her physicality, along with her acting chops, I think she'd be great for, like spy thriller type stuff. I'd love to see her in some sort of a Jason Bourne, James Bond type movie. I think she'd be perfect for that. And I definitely love to see her take on more dramatic roles where she's not just playing, some vapid blonde bimbo. Movies like Bombshell, which, while I've heard great things about her performance, I have no intention of seeing that. Because of, Fox News, and regardless of how horrible, the things these women had to go through, I'm not going to support them. That's a topic for another discussion. I'll discuss that in my next vlog, I think. So put a pin in that. That being said, she, as always, is great. The rest of the cast, Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya, I think kills it. I love the fact that they cast her a little bit older, a little bit more believable that she is who she is. I think if they'd have gone younger, I don't necessarily know that it would have worked out quite so well. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Helena Bertinelli, aka the Huntress. I thought she did a fantastic job. Um, I've never read the Birds of Prey per se, but I've read a lot of the Batman stuff, and I like what they've done with the Huntress in recent years, and I love that is really, they really bled that into the character in this movie. I think they did a good job with Huntress, making her very accurate to the comics. Same with Renee Montoya. Journey Smollett-Bell as Dinah Lance Black Canary, I think was fantastic. I never watched Arrow, so I can't make a comparison there. I've never really read much Black Canary stuff outside of some Green Arrow stories. So I don't know much about her character in the comic books outside of her relationship to Oliver Queen. So I can't make a judgment on any of that. I do know that she was fantastic in this movie. Apparently, Journey Smollett is like a legit fan of the Birds of Prey. She does genuinely love the comics. And so that love, I think, really came through in this movie. There were some nods to some continuity stuff, some Easter eggs to comic continuity that were really cool. And overall, I really enjoyed this. I think this is one of the better DC films. Not quite as good as Shazam, but to me, better than Wonder Woman, mainly because it didn't fall off a cliff on the third act. Wonder Woman was fine. I understood why they did some of the things they did in that movie, particularly with the ending of that movie, but I also didn't like the ending of that movie. Yeah, David Thewlis is Ares. Anyways, so this is probably to me the second best entry in the DC so far, which is kind of a low bar at this point, but it really feels like the kind of movie that'll have staying power. There's some beautiful sets, beautiful visual effects. Full disclosure, my buddy Caspers, who you'll be seeing soon in a video as we discuss some Rammstein stuff. His wife is one of the visual effects artists on this film. And, you know, so I feel a little bit of an obligation to look at that stuff a little bit more than I might have otherwise, and just kind of really analyze it. And I think the visual effects team did great. There's some really, really cool, interesting stuff that happens in this film that I absolutely love. The choreography, the fight scenes, I thought were fantastic. Probably the best fight scenes in the DCEU, which is really one of those things that elevated it for me. Particularly the last, like, big fight set piece, when it's everybody's together. They're, you know, all fighting together in this area. And I don't want to spoil anything, but they make some really cool, really interesting choices, and I absolutely love it. I think it's just the best fighting so far. And I love that they took these women and they made them, you know, badasses. They gave them legit choreography. Everyone's got their own fighting style. And I think that's honestly one of the few. I'm a total Marvel fan, but one of the biggest criticisms is all of the women in Marvel kind of have like two moves. Wonder Woman's kind of got two moves, and in this one they really showed that, you know, they've got some people that can do some choreography. So hopefully that carries over to future films. Hopefully they took some of that, applied it to Wonder Woman a little bit, and we'll get to see some more badass women carrying this franchise, because it seems like that might be a little bit where they're going, and it would be awesome to see it work. The villains, Ewan McGregor is an interesting Black Mask. Chris Messina as Victor Zsasz, I thought was just... Zsasz is one of those villains that like nobody really thinks of, but he's had a few kind of interesting like and kind of important appearances throughout Batman's history. He tends to be more of a Batman villain. The fact that they used him here, I loved it. I loved the way that they tied him into the story and kind of the role that he plays, and I thought that he played it very well. Chris Messina he nailed it. He nailed Zaz's kind of weirdness and psychosis, and the makeup that they gave him with the scars was, I thought they held back a little bit, but it also, I thought it was effective. Particularly, there's a couple of moments with him that I thought that it was pretty good. It's not all sunshine though. The criticism and worry that a lot of people had about the emphasis on Harley Quinn. This movie really should have been called Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, or Harley Quinn and something, because this was a Harley Quinn movie. The birds were incidental. They all kind of play an important part in the story, but they're all definitely side characters to her story, her journey. And probably the only character that was as important to the story as her, it was Ella J. Basco as Cassandra Cain, who's also fantastic, charming kid. Does a great job. Be interesting to see what they do with that character in the future, but yeah, I hope the next time we see Harley Quinn, they're leaning more into some of the other aspects of her character. Because in this one, this was the first time I'd seen, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and I was just like, okay, I see what you're doing. I get it. The acting's great. It's fun. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I just didn't feel like there was anything new there. But it is what it is. Overall, I'd recommend go and see it. As with most movies that I see in theaters, see it in the biggest, fanciest format possible. And let me know down below what you think. Click the like, click the subscribe, bell, all that stuff. Follow me on social media at Joshua Never Josh on Twitter. And let me know what you think there. Just keep the discussion civil. And above all, keep it black, but not too black.